This is the tragic, true story of Justine Vanderschoot, whose bright life was taken by the insidious darkness of obsession. Auburn, California, a town cradled by nature, felt safe. A place where calculated violence seemed utterly impossible. Justine was vibrant, expressive, a promising designer, and deeply connected to her sister and the unwavering trust of her parents. Her life was predictable, her character responsible. This sense of safety made her sudden disappearance all the more terrifying. At 15, Justine began dating Danny Bezemer. He quickly became a constant presence, welcomed into the heart of the family home. But beneath the charm, a dangerous pathology began to surface. Danny became increasingly possessive and severely controlling. He monitored her every text and movement. His devotion slowly twisted into a toxic, suffocating, jealous surveillance. Danny's resentment was fueled by his friend, Brandon Fernandez, who openly disliked Justine and harbored a dark, violent mind. Living together, the two men fed a mutual obsession with control, their resentment escalating into something cold and predatory. By late 2003, Justine knew she had to escape. She spoke of ending the relationship, craving a necessary, fresh start. Danny's response was not acceptance. He viewed her decision as the ultimate betrayal, an ownership he would not relinquish. Just days before she vanished, a local rider saw a freshly dug, grave-sized hole in a desolate, remote section of the forest. This grim sight, initially dismissed, would later become the most horrifying piece of unheeded early warning evidence. On September 1st, 2003, Justine disappeared. Her truck, abandoned with her belongings, confirmed the worst fears of her family. The community erupted in a frantic, desperate search. They scoured the canyons and hillsides, refusing to believe the unthinkable. The ultimate deception. Danny Bezemer joined the search, feigning utter devastation, wearing the t-shirt of a grieving boyfriend. But the facade was crumbling. Forensic investigators were already connecting the dots of soil, location, and the suspect's movements. Cell phone data proved the crucial break, linking Danny and Brandon's movements to the freshly disturbed ground in the remote area. Under the harsh pressure of the mounting evidence, Brandon Fernandez finally broke, confessing the shocking, calculated murder plot. Justine's body was recovered, a cruel, cold testament to a premeditated act of violence born from shattered male entitlement. In the courtroom, the prosecution laid bare the motive. Not passion, but the icy, possessive need to control a life he felt he owned. The defense attempted to shift the blame, painting a chaotic scene, but the forensic evidence and the planning were irrefutable. The jury's verdict was swift and just. Both Danny Bezemer and Brandon Fernandez were found guilty of the calculated murder. For Justine's family, the verdict offered a moment of cathartic grief, but the loss of their vibrant daughter remained absolute. Her memory is a powerful, solemn warning. Toxic obsession exists in the most beautiful, safest-looking corners of the world. Justine's tragic story reminds us to never dismiss the small signs of control and to always heed the quiet, desperate whispers of a broken heart. We remember Justine Vanderschoot, not just for the tragedy of her ending, but for the beautiful, independent spirit she fought to protect. The ultimate lesson remains: recognize the red flags before obsession becomes a shadow that consumes the light. The community healed, but the memory of her bravery and her ultimate sacrifice ensures her name continues to warn others. The mask of devotion is a terrifying disguise for control. This case demands you see the monster behind the smile. Brandon's apathy and Danny's possessiveness were a fatal collaboration, a toxic partnership built on shared darkness. The chilling image of the abandoned truck, a sudden, violent end to a journey that had just been planned for freedom. The community's grief was raw, a powerful wave of sorrow for the lost daughter of Auburn. Danny played the role of the devastated lover to perfection, but his act was a final, cold insult to the victim. The investigators methodically connected the forensic dots,
It's right there.
using science to defeat the killer's
buried
intricate web of lies. Brandon's confession was a horrifying unraveling, revealing the depth of the calculated evil they had planned together. The discovery brought grim finality. Justine's life, taken by the cold, possessive hands of those she once trusted. The prosecution's case was built on the terrifying simplicity of the motive, entitlement, and the inability to accept no. The sheer horror of the plot stunned the court, exposing a coldness that few in the room had ever encountered. The jurors were forced to confront a reality where betrayal and murder were not a moment of passion, but a planned event. Danny's composure finally cracked, his false front dissolving into the cold, bitter rage of a defeated controller. Justice was served. The guilty verdict was a necessary, though painful, closure for the grieving Vanderschoot family. The memorial stands as a beacon, a place for flowers, and a testament to the life that was unfairly, brutally silenced. Justine's spirit now flies free, a heartbreaking reminder of the beauty that was lost to a controlling, dark shadow. The warning is clear: recognize the toxic signs, and trust the instinct that tells you when it is time to run. Her memory will forever remind us that a smile can hide the most calculated and terrifying form of evil. The slow transition from a loving boyfriend to a possessive killer is the most insidious, terrifying pattern in crime. The conspiracy between the two men turned a planned breakup into a final, premeditated execution. The forest floor held the secret, a shallow grave that became the final, brutal piece of the entire devastating puzzle. The two murderers, once inseparable, were finally and permanently separated from society, confined by their own darkness. The family's collective embrace, a final, unified expression of love, grief, and the beginning of a long journey of healing. Justine's light continues to burn, a quiet, defiant flame against the darkness the two men tried to impose. The shadow of the crime settled over the beautiful town, a permanent reminder that evil can be disguised as intimacy. The discovery of the shovels was the first physical proof of the crime's cold, meticulous planning. The killers acting normally in the diner, the ultimate horror of their casual indifference to the evil they had just committed. The detective's grave duty, delivering the final, devastating news to the parents who held onto a desperate thread of hope. The parents' collapse, a primal, unified sound of broken hearts, the ultimate, brutal payment for a single, possessive act. Danny's act of crushing the replica, the visual manifestation of his possessive, absolute need to destroy what he could not control. The jury's solemn silence, a reflection of the profound moral weight of their decision in the face of such calculated betrayal. The scientific evidence was the silent witness, the DNA and soil samples speaking the truth the men tried to bury. The web of their lies snapped, one by one, under the pressure of the unyielding, methodical police investigation. The heavy clang of the prison gates, a cold, final sound marking the end of their freedom and the beginning of their death. The soft touch of a mother's hand on the cold stone, a final, physical connection to the daughter she lost to betrayal. Justine's free spirit soaring over the peaceful forest, finally escaping the suffocating control of her possessor. The final checklist of red flags, a simple, necessary tool forged from the tragedy of Justine's painful truth. The golden light of Auburn, a small sign of hope persisting, a community determined to heal and to remember. The butterfly, a beautiful, fragile symbol of Justine's freedom, landing softly near the place of her final rest. We remember Justine Vanderschoot. We honor her spirit, and we heed the warning of the darkest side of human obsession.
Jealousy, control, threats, violence. These red flags demand your attention.